At my daughter's funeral, my son-in-law told me to leave his house before sunrise while mourners were still standing beside her casket. I packed one bag and walked out silently. What he didn't know was that he had just evicted the man who owned 84% of his company. The chapel still smelled like lilies when he said it. People were still hugging me, old neighbors, cousins I hadn't seen in years. My daughter Sarah had been gone less than 4 hours. Her casket was still being carried out the side door. Jackson walked up wearing a suit that cost more than my first house. He didn't say I'm sorry. He didn't ask how I was holding up. He leaned close, straightened his tie, and said it loud enough for the two women behind me to hear. The house is in my name. You have 24 hours to pack your things and find somewhere else to live. Mrs. Higgins, our old neighbor, froze mid-sentence. The cousin next to her looked at the floor like she'd just walked into something private. Sarah's college roommate quietly stepped back. I stared at him. You're kicking me out on the day of my daughter's funeral. He looked past me toward the parking lot. I think a clean break is best for everyone starting tomorrow morning. That was it. No emotion, no regret. He turned around and went back to shaking hands with local politicians, smiling, projecting that practiced solemnity he'd worn all afternoon, like he hadn't just kicked an old man into the street over my daughter's coffin. I drove home in silence. I don't remember most of the drive, just the headlights, the wipers, my hands gripping the wheel. The house Sarah and I built 30 years of memories in felt like a museum. I walked through her old bedroom, touched the quilt her grandmother made for her, took down a small framed photo of her at 5, laughing on a swing set. One suitcase. That was all I packed. I left the spare key on the kitchen counter. The metal hit the granite. The sound went through the empty rooms like a door closing on the only life I had left. The hostel that night was worse than the funeral. Thin mattress, broken radiator, a stranger snoring through the wall. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the ceiling. I didn't cry. I didn't sleep. I just waited for the sun. Then I made a phone call. The diner was almost empty. I ordered black coffee and watched the rain hit the window. At exactly 9, I dialed the number I'd been holding onto for 14 years. Good morning, this is the law office of Mr. Cooper. I took a breath. This is Thomas. I need to speak with the senior partner. It's time. Here's what Jackson never bothered to learn about me. 12 years ago, when he started his company, no bank in this state would touch him. He had a business degree, a charming smile, and zero collateral. He came to me and said he needed $250,000 to get off the ground. He thought it was a gift to Sarah. It wasn't. I funded the first 3 years of that company through a legal trust set up by Mr. Cooper. Every share, every expansion, every silent investment Jackson thought he was managing on his own. I owned 84% of the voting stock. For over a decade, I sat back and let him run it. I let him take the title. I let him build the office. I let him strut around like a king because my daughter loved him and I trusted her judgment. But Sarah was gone, and Jackson had just stood over her coffin and told me I had 24 hours. A week passed. Jackson sat in his corner office across the city, probably already calling realtors, already planning what to do with my house. Then his phone rang. The call came from a lawyer representing the majority shareholder. Calm, professional, polite. Mr. Jackson, we are calling to inform you of a mandatory board meeting regarding the restructuring of the company. I imagine he laughed. He always laughed when he didn't understand something. I own this company. I don't see why a meeting is necessary. The lawyer cleared his throat. Actually, our records indicate that Mr. Thomas Davis owns 84% of the voting shares. He is your primary employer. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. His voice was different now. No more straightened ties, no more clean break. Thomas, there must be some kind of misunderstanding with the paperwork. I let the silence stretch. There is no mistake, Jackson. Meet me at the office on Main Street, 2 o'clock. He walked into that meeting room looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Wrinkled suit, shaking hands. The arrogant swagger from the funeral was completely gone. He sat down across from me. How was this even possible? I slid a folder across the table. He opened it. The color drained from his face in real time. The full story is in the long-form video below.